going to start with Jason Kersey from The Athletic, and then we'll go to Ryan Aber. Jason?
Hey, Jeremiah, the dome's looking good, man.
I appreciate it.
Um, so you guys have, I mean, legit 4 H-backs that I think you would feel comfortable putting out there. That's the most depth I remember at that position in a long time. How does that affect the rest of you guys? Do you like having that much depth? Do you wish you were out there more? How do you sort of explain it?
You know, like I've emphasized in the past, I think we're the best tight end H-back group in the country. So with that being said, comes a lot of competition. You know, every day at practice, I'm fighting for playing time, for a spot to make Stog better, to make Braden better, to make Mikey better. And just that continuous effort, that day-to-day competition, that day-to-day drive, push, all comes together to make each other better. And I like it.
Thanks, man.
Ryan Aber with the Oklahoman, and then Eric Bailey.
Yeah, Jeremiah would say something about Jason your hairstyle being voluntary versus Jason. But anyway, I know this is going to be a different type of road game than any that y'all have played before. But Spencer makes his first road start this weekend. How difficult is that, and how different is that versus playing at home as far as the game?
You know, here in Norman, everybody's rooting for you. You know, even if you're feeling down a little bit, you can somewhat rely on the fans and just the environment to give you some energy. And when you go on the road, that small factor isn't there anymore, and that what makes it just a little bit more difficult. Not to say that there's an extreme difference between playing on the road and playing at home, but you're relying more on your teammates. You're relying more on the 70, 80 guys that are there compared to 100, 120. And it's mostly about creating your own energy, like I said. Also, in terms of Spencer, you know, like you said, he's young. This is his first true road game. And just like everybody else, I'm pretty sure there are a little bit of jitters there. But at the end of the day, like I've emphasized in the past, we got a job to get done. You know, we're going to rely on our teammates to create our own energy, rely on Coach Riley and the rest of the staff. And we're going to go out there and get the job done.
Appreciate it.
Eric Bailey with the Tulsa World, and then Joe Bettner.
Hey, Jeremiah, I was just wondering, what was the most disappointing thing about just managing 50 yards in the last 20 offensive plays during Saturday's game, and how much of that is correctable going into this week?
You said the most disappointing about what?
Getting only 50 total yards of offense in the last 20 plays Saturday's game.
Oh, okay, towards the end of the game.
And how do you fix that going into this Saturday's game?
Yeah, that's extremely disappointing, mainly because we have high expectations of ourselves. You know, we didn't finish like we started. You know, we started strong, and like I just said, we didn't finish, and that's something we're working on. You know, in practice, we've been emphasizing finishing every single play, you know, and plays add up to quarters add up to halves, and halves add up to the rest of the game. And so that's one thing we're working on in practice, and I do believe that you will see a different, specifically second half Oklahoma offense football team out there on Saturday.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Joe Bettner with the Norman Transcript, and then John Hoover.
I'm wondering, just with so many guys you have in this offense that can catch passes, Jeremiah, how much, I guess, mental prep goes into, you know, when your time does come to be able to execute? And do you feel like that's something that's learned as far as just like being ready in that moment when, you know, you're only going to get so many chances each game?
Yeah, that's definitely something that's learned. I know from my point of view, it's something that came with experience and time. And the first thing you have to do is not be selfish. You know, the first thing you have to do is recognize that you have a job, and like I've emphasized before, to do your job. Now, with that being said, you can't sit on the sidelines and you can't be in practice thinking about yourself. You have to think about the person in front of you, their assignment, how to get that done. And when you do that in practice, it translates to the field. So when you're ready in practice, you're ready when game time comes. And it's just something that comes with time, like I said. And most of the guys, they get it. I've gotten it, and that's the way I handle it. Just always being prepared.
Thank you.
We'll go to John Hoover with SI Sooners, and then Keegan Rennell.
Hey, Jeremiah. You seem like you've got a real handle on your emotions today. You keep cool, calm, collected customer all the time is what it looks like to me. But earlier on the call, Lincoln talked about how losses suck and they hurt like hell. And he said there's not much sleep going on. I wonder if you could describe that from a player's perspective, that maybe you guys get together and talk about, commiserate with your problems, or how you guys handle that, how you compartmentalize that, and then move on, obviously on Sunday or Monday when you hit the film.
It's tough simply because not everybody, wears their heart on their sleeve. Not everybody shows their emotions the same. And so I can't really speak for everyone on the team, but what I can say is that, like Coach Riley said, it's tough. It's tough simply because you look at the guy next to you, you look at those that are more distraught than others, and you're just like, man, like, we didn't get the job done, and that kind of, me specifically, I don't express my emotions entirely. Like you said, I'm pretty level-headed for the most part, but at the end of the day, it still hurts. Whether you did your job or whether you didn't do your job, you always think to yourself, man, maybe I could have did a little bit more. Maybe I could have did this, or maybe I could have did that. But at the end of the day, we didn't do our job. We didn't get the job done. And you got to take it to the chin. You got to take it to the chin. And this is college football. That was only game 2, and we got a long season ahead. So, like I said, we're going to take it. We're going to run with it because we can't go back. We can't go back in time, and we can only look towards the future. So, like I said, we got to take it to the chin, learn from our mistakes, and keep it pushing because we have a fan base relying on us. We have teammates relying on us. We have coaches relying on us. So, got to keep going.
Can you comment real quick on TJ Pledger's ability to step up and lead as guys have left the running back room in the past 8 or 9 months?
Yeah. Going back to what I said about always being ready, TJ has been that definition. TJ has never once complained about what's been going on around him. Every day he shows up to practice. Even the past couple of years building up to this moment, these past couple of games for him, he's always been ready. Whether that be behind Trey Sermon, whether that be behind Kennedy Brooks, no matter the situation, he's one of those guys that have continuously been prepared to play, and his time is now. It's showing, and I'm proud of him.
Jeremiah, thanks.
Keegan Rennell with Sooners Wire, and then Kerry Murdoch.
Iowa State, you now played against, you're going to play against them your 3rd time or 4th time. But they've traditionally been a team that has kind of given y'all some pushback offensively with their defense. Last year, you guys were able to get them in the running game quite a bit. But what is it about their defense that's so difficult to go up against?
They're well coached. You guys see them. They play a 3-3-5. Very different compared to a traditional defense. And I'm not just speaking just for Iowa State or the conference, but I'm speaking just in college football or any type of football in general. Like I said, they're well coached. They know their defense, and they stick to what their coaches tell them. They fly to the football, and they're pretty good. So we prepare for them every single year, and we know what we're going to get, and we're going to go out there and execute our jobs on Saturday.
Kerry Murdoch with Sooner Scoop and WWLS, and then Dean Blevins.
Jeremiah, I am not saying that, anything affected you guys, COVID, social injustice, worrying about, if you were even going to play a game. I'm not saying that affected anything, in the game Saturday, but coming off a loss with all those things that have been kind of, hanging over your heads, is there something about just dealing with the fallout of a loss at Oklahoma that makes this season all of a sudden a lot more real than maybe it was for some guys?
I think, in a way, yes. Specifically, more so towards the young guys. I know when I started playing after my redshirt year, and I was technically officially responsible for a loss because I played or I didn't do something right or something like that. It hurts a little bit more because you then are now a part of a loss. You played a part in a losing team. And once that hits you for the first few times, you realize just because you're at the University of Oklahoma, you're not invincible. Just because we have history, just because we have previous great players, that doesn't mean that we can't take an L. Coach Riley has said to us many times, just because we've won previous championships, that doesn't mean we're defending champs. We're not defending anything. We have a 2020 Big 12 championship to go get. So with that being said, we can lose. We are vulnerable when you're not superheroes in any way. But like I previously said, we got to go out there and we got to execute better. We've been practicing better, I think, these past 2 days, and we will be better.
Appreciate that, Jeremiah.
Okay, Jeremiah, time for a couple more. Dean Blevins with KWTV, and then Garen Emig.
Jeremiah, what was the biggest difference between the first 3 quarters of play and that final quarter? Whether it's play calling, whether it's mood in the huddle, just anything. What was the biggest difference?
I think overall, just somewhat between the coaches, the players. I can't really speak on the play calling because that's out of my hands, but I think there was a sense of complacency. There wasn't that same drive that we had in the first two quarters, specifically, somewhat in the third quarter, and we waited until our backs were against the wall to realize that, hey, we still have a football game to finish. I think we battled maybe 35, 40 minutes out of a 60-minute game, and you can't do that. You can't do that at any level. You can't give anybody hope, no matter the score. And I think we were ready to go home. I really do. But like I said, we took it to the chin, and I'm going to take responsibility for that as a leader. I know Coach Riley will, and we'll bounce back. We will.
Okay, and then we'll finish up with Garen Emig from the Tulsa World.
Jeremiah, a little bit ago, you were talking about things players have to learn as they go. You mentioned that yourself. Is this a good time to take stock in the fact that as talented a player as he obviously is, and as much attention has been heaped on him, that Spencer's just a young guy, 2 games into his college career, and this season's going to be as big a learning experience for him as it's been for anyone else who's come to the program?
That's difficult to answer simply because you don't ever want to lose just because he's young. As an older guy, you never want to say you're part of a rebuilding program. We simply reload here at the University of Oklahoma. And I say that because it may sound selfish, but me personally, I don't want to have to wait for Spencer to get it together. He doesn't want to have to wait for him to get it together. Coach Riley, as tough as that may sound, we have high expectations of everybody on that field. But I guess to answer part of your question, in terms of his career, I guess you could say I never want to say it's okay to lose, but hopefully you understand what I'm getting at. But there's going to be a learning curve, and I think this was it. I think this was it.